So in Wisconsin, Republicans are running a Selena Meyer understudy who is from California, whose bank is being sued for elder abuse and who says don't let people in nursing homes vote. In Pennsylvania, Republicans are...
Rachel Maddow is so correct. I'll play the rest of it in a moment. Is the word jettisoning in, where how are they getting away with putting people in areas, in seats, to represent people they have nothing in common with? They're just like professional mouthpieces.
In Pennsylvania, Republicans are running a guy who lives in Connecticut, who grew up in a literal president's mansion and says it was a family farm where he was so poor. But wait, there's more. In Montana, Republicans really want to take the U.S. Senate seat there that is currently held by popular Democratic Senator Jon Tester. One of the things that makes Jon Tester really popular in a largely rural state like Montana is that Senator Tester is, for real, a real farmer, drives the tractor and everything. Republicans have decided to run somewhat against Senator Jon Tester in Montana, who is a person from Minnesota, who grew up in the suburbs of St. Paul. Since he has been running against Jon Tester, though, he has made a big deal of saying that he grew up near farmland. Turns out there was maybe farmland near the multi-million-dollar lake house he grew up in suburban St. Paul. So that's pretty much just like being a farmer. This follows another quite unusual controversy for this Montana Senate candidate in which he either dropped a loaded gun in a parking lot at Glacier National Park and the gun went off when it hit the ground and he thereby shot himself in the arm, or he didn't really shoot himself in the arm by dropping a gun in the parking lot at Glacier National Park, but he nevertheless went to the hospital anyway. And while he did tell a U.S. park ranger that he dropped a gun in that parking lot and shot himself that day, he was actually lying about that to the ranger because really he was trying to conceal the secret truth that he had an unreported war wound that he didn't want anybody to know about. But whatever happened, it was definitely near farmland. There was very near. You could smell it nearby in the vicinity.
So glad that she has highlighted this. Tell me in the comment section below if you're somebody who has recently had a Republican representative who's seeking your vote. Are they from your area? How far? And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, it's not illegal. Just seems a little bit, you know what I mean? These are funny tastes. I'd love to know your thoughts. Tell me, are you being invaded by Republicans who don't care about your area, just trying to get a bit of attention and potentially a seat?
Can I tell you, there's another one, Michigan. Michigan, Republicans are thrilled that Democratic U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow is retiring in that state. They would love to take that Senate seat in Michigan, and so cue the headlines out of Michigan. Quote, Michigan Republican candidate caught living in Florida. This is about Republican Michigan U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers. His name is Mike Rogers. This confluence of where he lives and his name led the Michigan Advance to build the perfect headline for this story, which is, quote, where is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood? Mike Rogers, again, wants to be the senator from Michigan, but he does appear to be registered to vote in Florida at his very nice house in Cape Coral, Florida, where he is registered with the Republican Party of Florida Voter Status Active. Where is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood indeed?
If American students going to Columbia
that have never traveled to the Middle East,
right,
much less been to Gaza or the West Bank or Israel, and that, frankly, have gotten their news off of Instagram and TikTok.
That's kind of an unbelievable moment, talking about some of the colleges across America where there are protests over what's going on in the Middle East. Fox News criticising TikTok and Instagram, but weirdly, not Twitter or Fox News themselves, who aren't exactly the best at putting over facts and details on what's going on anywhere, not just in the Middle East.
There have been reports from time to time of from the river to the sea and other really serious threats.
Right.
How safe do those students, how safe did they tell you they feel right now?
They don't feel safe. And it's just, I mean, one of them was on the verge of tears.
A lot of this is really shocking, irresponsible reporting, journalism, whichever tag they like to use at Fox Entertainment. I went to a college campus last week, and they have a protest there, but it is not as being described by a lot of news stations who need some drama, who need this kind of confrontation for their pictures. It is a total just misrepresentation of those on both sides, by the way, of the argument, who are exercising their right to have, well, their voices spoken and heard, and the way that Fox and likes are patronising them, as if anyone at Fox right now can put their hand up and say, well, they have journalistic qualifications. Who are they to be the arbitrators of facts, information, and spreading?
Inside Donald Trump's prison cell, the surroundings are like any other small enclosed space. The walls are gray concrete, and a narrow cot with a thin mattress is the only piece of furniture. A tiny metal sink and toilet combo sit in one corner, while a small barred window allows a sliver of natural light to filter in. The sound of clanking bars echoes through the air as guards patrol the hallway outside.
What is...
President Trump is 76 years old. He will die in federal prison.
Trump spends his days pacing the limited floor space. The once powerful man now finds himself in a place of confinement.
It isn't what Bill Barr's interpretation is, if he thought he heard it or didn't hear it. What it's important is what Donald Trump has said.
Jackie, did it catch you totally by surprise that this coup attempt by KJP was reported? And because they have great detail, they even talked about a job that she was going to get and how to exit. And the critiques they had on her seem pretty much the consistent critiques about her. Doesn't understand the policy, glued to the binder, has to read everything verbatim. So it seems like there's a lot of substance to it. Did it catch you by surprise?
Well, it caught me by surprise, the timing of this report, because the whole Emily's List offer was several months ago. That was reported at the time. So I don't know what sort of made this come out now. Broadly speaking, you know, Karine has her wheelhouse in certain areas, just like we see John Kirby always talking about anything with national security, foreign policy, you know, former Pentagon spokesman. They sort of divide that job in that area. And when Karine has to, you know, talk about the things that usually John Kirby talks about, it's not as strong as when she talks about things that are more in her wheelhouse, political messaging, for instance. But the timing of the report was a little bit surprising because we knew about the Emily's List offer back in, I think, December.
Well, maybe it had to do with the fact that it came out, I think, on Friday. Saturday was the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You were up on the dais because you're part of the association and you're one of the officers. I'm sure that there was some small talk about that. And actually, at that event, I was there, a White House official, a very high-ranking person, told me that the story was absolutely true. They would like her to step aside, but she just won't go.
That's interesting. I mean, you see the on-the-record vehement denials that were in that New York Post report, and then also echoed when we asked about it at Fox News. You know, behind the scenes, I think people speak a little bit more candidly, but I can't speak to it. Personally, I was, you know, on an island away from everyone else, so the only person I talked to all night was Doug Emhoff, and actually he was a pleasure to speak to. But we had a meal together up on the stage watching the dinner, and I think it was a success. So a lot of jokes. The president, you know, he pulled off some funny lines. The bike one was a good one.
Yep.
Right.
Well, this is a very strange story. Let me just check the date so I can get it wrong. Monday, April the 29th. On Fox and Friends today, Jackie Heinrich, who is the White House press correspondent, basically fact-checks her colleagues for trying to come up with some nonsense, lies. It could be gossip, but there's no real strong evidence that the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, is about to be booted, or there are plans to boot her. Obviously, in any job, people come and go. But this particular allegation, just watch how she deals with this garbage. And I think there should be more of this, where people who have probably some level of journalistic ability have to fact check the network they are working for, so that their their whole career and credibility is on the line, especially if you're reporting on what the president does. Interesting enough, though, I don't think this applies to the host of Fox and Fiends, Steve Douchebag. Sorry, I got his name. Steve Douchebag, big bag, his son, Peter Douchebag.
Inside Donald Trump's prison cell, the surroundings are like any other small enclosed space. The walls are gray concrete, and a narrow cot with a thin mattress is the only piece of furniture. A tiny metal sink and toilet combo sit in one corner, while a small barred window allows a sliver of natural light to filter in. The sound of clanking bars echoes through the air as guards patrol the hallway outside.
What? What is... President Trump is 76 years old. He will die in federal prison.
Trump spends his days pacing the limited floor space. The once powerful man now finds himself in a place of confinement.